I'm Jeff Hunt. He's Bill Thorpe. Brandy Bradley's joining us.
I think we could have a cooler cruise. Just heard the ad earlier, and they're talking about all the stuff they do in the cruise. Jeff and I'd be so much more fun.
Yeah.
We'd have so much fun. Full contact shuffleboard. That'd be great. I mean, we'd have
Billy and Jägermeister.
Yes, Billy and Jägermeister. Yes, I mean, yeah, lectures, symposiums. No, we are going to do fun stuff. Yes, absolutely. We're going to all have to wear those inflatable sumo outfits and play volleyball. I mean, we're going to be ridiculous.
One of the best cruise stories of our family that goes around is I joined. So I'm one of the guys on the cruise that just literally fills my calendar with all the stuff.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Right? Like some people love to lie around. I'm like doing, basket weaving and stuff.
Absolutely.
Like that. I'm going to do all the stuff. And one of them was a pickup basketball game.
Oh, nice.
And my brothers were supposed to join me. They didn't. So I just went and joined it with, we found two random dudes and we joined this basketball pickup game.
I love that.
And we made it to the championship.
No.
All right.
Oh, my God.
So on the cruise, Royal Caribbean basketball pickup game championship.
That's great.
It's me versus the other team. Final seconds.
Yeah.
I pull up, and I'm like, I'm going to take the shot. They feed it to me. Pull up. Take the shot.
Yeah.
And the wind just took the ball.
Off the boat. Just whoosh. God said, not today.
At least that's what I told everybody.
Yeah.
I was like, it was a wind.
It was a wind, yes.
But it was an absolutely like Michael Jordan buzzer beater to win and just like 20 feet past the hoop.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, definitely the wind. Yeah,
definitely the wind. Right.
God played
but
at Dikembe Mutombo.
Everybody was watching. The whole family's there, and they're like, yeah, that's Jeff.
That's awful. Yeah, that's that's horrible.
All right. We're going to talk with Brandy Bradley. We got the state legislature already kicking off. She's introducing some good bills, fighting the bad ones as well. Not going to want to miss this update. Always fun to talk to Brandy Bradley. Now, though, it's time for the news.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Good morning. It is Wednesday, 21 and clear in Denver, expecting a high of 48 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story.
I've come to this year's World Economic Forum with truly phenomenal news from America.
That's from America. Sorry about that. The president already speaking at Davos after he landed in Europe about an hour ago. An electrical issue forced Air Force One to return to Joint Base Andrews last night, but arrived safely this morning along with speaking. He also has several meetings planned, including discussions centered around Greenland. The mental war on the globalists and oligarchs has kicked off in Davos.
Never seen before, perhaps no country has ever seen before. Over the past 3 months, core inflation has been just 1.6%. Meanwhile, fourth quarter growth is projected to be 5.4%, far greater than anybody other than myself and a few others had predicted. Since the election, the stock market has set 52 all-time high records. So that's in 1 year, 52 records, adding $9 trillion in value to retirement accounts, 401ks.
And I love this. Here's the Green New Scam.
That pursued the Green New Scam, perhaps the greatest hoax in history. The Green New Scam, windmills all over the place, destroy your land, destroy your land. Every time that goes around, you lose $1,000. You're supposed to make money with energy, not lose money. Here in Europe, we've seen the fate that the radical left.
I'm sure the Euros love hearing that. And Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick is there getting everyone ready for DJT.
And President Trump's the only president who's got the guts, who's got the stamina, says, look, I'm just going to fix the whole thing for America. And that's why it's great to work in this administration. You know, we are literally fixing the things that make no sense in America. We don't make semiconductors. We don't have pharmaceuticals. I mean, come on. We don't do manufacturing. We need to have jobs in America for our great people.
And then Chris Wright, Colorado's own energy secretary in Davos a couple hours ago.
We're also making it easier to refine oil in the United States. We're trying to lower that part of the cost chain as well. But the president was elected to drive down energy prices. Gasoline prices, heating prices, electricity prices is a bigger challenge, but we're making big progress there. The huge rises you saw under President Biden, those will soon come to a stop.
And Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says he's not concerned about European investors, including a Danish pension fund, pulling out of the U.S. bond market amid tensions over Greenland.
Denmark's investment in U.S. Treasury bonds, like Denmark itself, is irrelevant.
Bessent told reporters in Davos that Denmark's investment is less than $100 million and that they've been selling treasuries for some time. The vice president is set to visit Minnesota on Thursday as tensions escalate because the paid protesters do what they're paid to do, and they riot. And the riot porn media covers it like, these are actually, normal people. DJT knows that ICE is getting it done.
That ICE gets rid of murderers, drug dealers, Tren de Aragua, the worst gang in the world, anywhere in the world, MS-13, Tren de, but these are the worst gangs, and they get rid of them, they take them out. And I say, something's wrong when a place like Minnesota, which is a good place, it's got a horrible governor, it's got horrible people.
Border Patrol head Greg Bovino is highlighting the arrests made during the illegal immigration crackdown in Minnesota, Minneapolis. More specifically, Bovino said they're catching the worst of the worst. Over 10,000 arrests have been made. Newsbusters says that there have been there's 93% negative coverage on ICE after looking at all the stories the past few weeks, and that's what they do best. Denver police investigating several reports of indecent exposure in and around Wash Park. Witnesses say a man has exposed himself to several people over the last few weeks.
Every woman deserves to be able to walk by themselves without having to worry of someone harassing them or putting them in an unsafe position. I really hope they can catch them because I see women here all the time. I walk here alone all the time, so I want to feel safe too.
Some flyers have been posted warning of a Wash Park flasher, though police have not confirmed the suspect description listed on those flyers. Investigators are asking anyone who sees or is the victim of indecent exposure to call police and make a report. Some Denver police officers will be getting new uniforms under a contract approved by City Council. The council approved a $1.5 million contract with Skaggs Companies on Tuesday. The company will provide 2 complete uniforms to Denver Police Academy graduates, as well as uniform replacements for current officers. And Luka Doncic and LeBron and the Lakers in town last night.
Toss up to Gordon. How about Doncic playing free safety? James to LaRavia. Back to Doncic for 3. Boom!
Doncic, 38 points, and the Lakers beat the Nuggets last night, 115. 107 AFC Championship game coming up at 1 o'clock on Sunday. Bo Nix had his ankle surgery. It was scheduled for Tuesday. Hopefully it went well. Today his team will continue to practice and prepare for the Patriots in the huge game coming up this weekend. 21 in Englewood, 20 in Westminster, 21 in Denver. You're waking up with Jeff and Bill on a Wednesday. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Your 710 5-day forecast, clear starry skies as we start our Wednesday. Morning temps in the lower to mid-20s with highs low 50s Wednesday afternoon. Sunshine and dry, partly cloudy, near 20 for a low Wednesday night. Thursday, increasing clouds late afternoon, highs in the low 40s. Lows going to be low teens Thursday night with some snow showers and highs only middle and upper 20s on Friday. Some snow showers may linger Saturday with upper 20s once again. Meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. She represents House District 39 down at the state capitol. That's south of Denver, not quite down into Colorado Springs, but think the areas around Castle Rock, south of Highlands Ranch, kind of the more rural Douglas County areas. That's Brandy Bradley. And she's already introducing bills. She's fighting the bad ones being introduced by the Democrats. And yesterday announced she's running for re-election. She joins us this morning. Good morning, Representative Bradley. Thank you for joining the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Always awesome to be on with you.
So much to talk about. Give us an update on the state capitol. Tell us first about the bill you're running. You got a Second Amendment bill, but then also some of the craziness that the Democrats have already unleashed.
Well, I mean, I think we're going to see the attack on landlords, small businesses, parents. It's the same thing. Just, it's like Groundhog Day, I feel like.
I'm amazed you can handle it, to be honest.
I'm amazed I can handle it.
I mean, they don't seem to learn anything. I've seen bills already with regards to transgenderism and parents' rights. Give us some of the details on that.
Oh, yeah, it's bringing back the whole name change again, right? We're going to let kids change their name. And then if you aren't willing to accommodate that, it's going to be used against you in a court of law.
So the stuff you guys were able to kind of pull out of last year's bill, they're just bringing right back this year.
Well, yeah, and you know what? We have the troops assembled. Somebody said it perfectly. They thought that nothing could unify lesbians, feminists, the gay community, the conservatives. Well, they're doing it, and we are a troop, and we are not backing down. If anything, we have more fight in us than we ever have before.
And you've been introducing some good bills. Let's talk about Second Amendment Protection Act.
Oh, no, cell phone problems.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there we got you now. There we go.
Okay, I won't move. I will stand. This is what happens in rural Colorado, right? I was just saying that I'm so excited about the Second Amendment protection bill. I think that we have seen Democrats strip away right after right after right when it comes to the Second Amendment. I would say even the First Amendment. And Representative Max Brooks and Senators Baisley and Zamora Wilson were excited to co-sponsor and co-prime this bill, and so we're off to the races.
Give us a sense of what the bill does and how it protects our Second Amendment rights.
So we are repealing every gun bill that they have brought forward, or anti-gun bill, I should say, that they have brought forward to strip us of our constitutional right to keep and bear arms. And we have listed all of those out: 3-day waiting period, background checks on the private transfer of firearms, you name it, it's in this bill. We are going to battle. We believe that it's our constitutional right to keep and bear arms, and they continue to try to strip that constitutional right. So good messaging bill to put out there. Hopefully we'll get some Democrats in their right, sane mind to vote for it.
Now, Brandy Bradley got a question about the idea of using it as, this is the incorrect term, but more or less an omnibus approach to repealing all of those bills. Do you think, now let's just, for the sake of the conversation, let's assume it passes, and of course we would anticipate some legal challenges. Do you think that lumping all of them together strengthens a potential legal challenge or could make it more difficult to face up to a legal challenge?
Well, we've talked to all the Second Amendment gun rights lawyers, and they have looked at this bill and said that this will not harm any type of lawsuit that they have in the future. So we were very cognizant of getting the good gun lobbyists on board, and everyone seems to be on the same page.
That's Brandy Bradley. She represents Douglas County down at the Colorado State Capitol. Representative Bradley, talk to us about the divisions within the Democrat Party. We often hear that there's a wing, or now it may even be a majority, of Democrats that are embracing socialism, and the real battle down there is between the socialists and moderate Democrats. Are you seeing that play out yet in the first few weeks of the legislative session?
Well, I think we saw it over the summer, right? I mean, there were Democrats that filed ethics charges against the Opportunity Caucus. They're the ones that brought that forward. And I think that there's a lot of conflict. There's been some, I've heard money problems in the caucus with somebody taking money that shouldn't have taken money. So there is a lot of conflict in the Democrat caucus right now that we're seeing. And I don't believe the socialists are ruling the Capitol. I think the moderates are sick and tired of the games that the Democrat socialists are playing.
How are things with the Republicans? Are you seeing unity on the Republican side?
I think it's too early to tell. I think that we are a little bit more unified this year than we were last year. I think that we have a little bit better, stronger leadership coming forward. I think our party is a mess, too. I think it's on both sides, and that's why I fight for my constituents, and I fight for the values that I go to the Capitol, and I'm not going to get involved in party politics.
What are you hearing from your constituents? What are some of the top issues they want you working on?
Oh, Second Amendment for sure, but people don't feel safe in our state. We're ranked one of the highest, most violent states. We're number one for auto and property theft, 4 for rape, 10th highest for trafficking. We're not putting criminals in jail, and my constituents are sick of it because in Douglas County, we're seeing the flow of crime from Denver come into my county. We have, a carjacking that killed 4 people in my district. We're having shootings, constantly from carjackings that are happening in other counties. And the people of Douglas County are tired of it. At least we have a DA and a sheriff that will arrest and prosecute these crimes. Thank God we do.
And we're hearing challenges. I mean, here's part of the problem that law enforcement is facing. It's this patchwork of sanctuary policies where if you're local law enforcement, we talked about this yesterday on the show, and you end up on a text message thread with feds from the wrong agency, you could be sued in your own personal capacity, right? So the DEA, for instance, is trying to deal with the fact that we have a rash of fentanyl coming into Colorado. Colorado is so bad that basically 10% of all of the fentanyl coming into America is being captured here in Colorado. But if you're a sheriff's deputy and you're working with DEA, but ICE happens to be on that text message thread, well, then Phil Weiser is going to show up, knock on your front door, and sue you in your own personal capacity. So these sanctuary policies are creating all this chaos, all this frustration. And you know who's taking advantage of it? Cartels. Because they can. And they're even saying so. They're telling the DEA, well, it's basically your sanctuary policies that allow us to operate here. And then you have Darren Weakley, who's got 80% of the people in his jail aren't even from Douglas County. So it's created a real problem. And you're hearing that directly from constituents that they want this addressed, Brandy Bradley?
Absolutely. We had one of the biggest fentanyl drug busts a mile from my house in Douglas County because our sheriffs are doing the due diligence of what the people want. We want to be safe. We want to be able to afford our homes and our property taxes and be able to go to the grocery store and buy groceries for our children. And the Democrat policies are just skyrocketing all of it. They're making it unaffordable to live in our state. They're making it too much crime to live in our state. And they're stripping away our Second Amendment rights to protect ourselves when we're one of the highest violent crime states in the U.S.
That's Brandy Bradley. She represents portions of rural Douglas County down at the Colorado State Capitol. Now, speaking of Highlands Ranch, Douglas County, there's been a shift happening in Highlands Ranch. It's gotten a lot bluer. I've written about this. You had a 20-point swing in a decade between 2012 and 2022 in Douglas County. Talk to us about that change. What's driving that? Is it affecting your district? Highlands Ranch is represented by a Democrat down at the state capitol. How do you keep Douglas County from going blue?
Well, I think we have to get the churches involved. I think Republicans are good about being keyboard warriors, but not getting up and going to vote. They don't believe in election integrity. I understand that problem. We are trying to fix the voter rolls. We're trying to fix the election integrity problems. I voted against certify the election last year because I don't believe our elections are safe. I think Tina Peters should be freed. There's so many things that I think Republicans just feel like it's a lost cause. Well, it's not a lost cause. I believe that Douglas County will stay red, but I think we have to get people involved and off their couches.
That's Brandy Bradley. She represents portions of Douglas County, mostly the rural, down at the Colorado State Capitol. I want to ask you about your thoughts. You saw the video, speaking of churches, of those protesters going into the churches in Minnesota. How did that make you feel when you saw that?
Oh, I think it's ridiculous, but I think Democrats have always tried to stand for free speech. You know, we heard it with the MLK resolution, free speech, until they silence us with, Rule 14 and 16, which shuts down debate, which not allows us to speak for 45% of the people we represent. Remember, 45% are Republicans in our state. It's not like 10%. And so when you go in and shut off the right to assemble, but our governor did the same thing. He shut down the churches in our state and let liquor stores and strip clubs stay open. They don't understand the First Amendment. They certainly don't understand the Second Amendment. And we're going to make sure they do this session.
That's Brandy Bradley, state representative, joining Jeff and Bill live, talking about the new legislative session and other topics of the day. Now, Brandy, I want to know about, do you see, based on anything that the Democrats are proposing, that there might be a way to work with them on this one little avenue? And conversely, do you think there's something that yourself or the Republicans are proposing that you think some of those moderate Democrats are persuadable and you can get them on board? What do we see in the future for this session as far as bipartisan legislation?
Oh, absolutely. We're bringing our child rape bill back. It's going to start in the Senate. You know that Rep. English from El Paso County, moderate Democrat, is on that. I do believe that there are moderate Democrats that want to protect children, that want to make Colorado safer, and they're willing to work on the opposite side of the aisle. I think that we obviously can work with the opposite side of the aisle, but it's got to be to make Colorado safer, more affordable, and bring children's rights forward, or parental rights forward, so that we can protect kids and not allow things to happen to them as well. I certainly believe that we can work across the aisle. I have great relationships with Democrats, no matter what the media likes to publicize. I have a lot of respect from the other side of the aisle, and I believe that we can work together on things like that.
Yeah, I think that, again, I don't know if I would ever have the ability to stomach going down there and having to work at the legislature like you do. But because I might just start yelling at people. It would not be good. Not be in the news.
I do that, Bill. I do that. Have you watched my speeches? I do that.
I have seen that. That's great. And that's why we love you so much. And so this is the thing. Is I'm wondering if there is any sort of hay to be made for Republicans. And what I'm coming back to is the statement that the Republicans inside the legislature do represent 45% of the population of the state, and chatting with those moderate Democrats, coming to them and saying, you understand that some of these wild, very left socialist style issues that some of your party is proposing go so far against what the majority of Coloradans feel, and that is regardless of party, because it's not just Republicans and Democrats, it's also unaffiliated, that these things are so far out of bounds. Not only do they not pass the sniff test, but do y'all understand that you're just going to make it easier for Republicans to get elected? The idea of maybe self-preservation coming into play, and talking to the Democrats and saying, listen, if you guys don't want to be labeled as these crazy socialist, activists here in town, and you don't want to appear like, and again, favorite guy of the show recently, the that liberal farmer that yelled at people at the Minneapolis church, yes. Someone like that, if you don't want to be associated with people like that maybe you need to show some legislation that is closer to the middle of the road in Colorado, and it is going to be a manner of self-preservation. Do you think any of that message is going to work inside of the Golden Dome?
Well, I think for some, absolutely, Bill, but you have some very narcissistic legislators. I mean, they have stacked the deck on judiciary, which is where they send a lot of Republican, or I would say bipartisan bills. You've got Representatives Lorena Garcia, Yara Zokai, Javier Mabry, Michael Carter, Jennifer Bacon. They all sit on judiciary. Those are all the socialists making the rules of how we change laws when it relates to crime and public safety. So how do you get anything out of a committee like that? If the majority leader really wanted to propose some good legislation other than her bills that just fly through, then she wouldn't have stacked judiciary with all the socialists in her party.
That's Brandy Bradley. She serves Douglas County down at the Colorado State Capitol. Now, Representative Bradley, I want to ask you about Deborah Mulvaney. She sits on the City of Castle Pines City Council, and she's launched a primary challenge against you. Why are you better to serve the people of House District 39?
Oh, because I'm not bought and paid for by the lobby corps. I represent my constituents. I don't represent lobbyists. I fight for them every day. And if anyone has any question about that, look over the last 4 months of my life fighting for my child to live. I mean, if they know me, they know I'm going to fight for their liberty, for their small businesses, for their Second Amendment, for all the things that we constitutionally stand for. I'm not going to back down to any lobby corps.
You announced your reelection last night on X. Tell us why you want to stay in the fight.
You know, Jess, I questioned it, to be quite honest with you. We've had a lot of personal issues in my family, and I think it would be easy just to back down and say, you know what, I'm not going to go up there. I don't have the stomach for it. I don't want to do it. But I believe in our state. I believe in our constitutional values, and I believe our state is going to turn more red and get more centrist. I believe in it wholeheartedly, and if I didn't, I wouldn't do it. But I will tell you, it took a couple long walks on the beach talking to God and asking him why he's put me in this. But I believe my husband said it best. You have the greatest voice. You fight so hard for children. You fight so hard for our personal liberties. You need to go. You need to go back.
You know, Representative Bradley, I talk about this in speeches I give with regards to Republicans and conservatives in a blue state like Colorado facing such anti-Christian hostility that we have to, where we're constantly having to go to the U.S. Supreme Court. And I just remind people that nobody is written about in the Bible because everything was amazing. They lived a wonderful life and then died. Everybody described in the Bible, the great heroes of the faith, all had major challenges that they were facing. They relied upon God. God carried them through. They stayed committed to their values, and that's why they're the heroes of the faith. So that's my encouragement to you, Representative Bradley. Continue the fight ahead. We appreciate everything you do to represent your constituents, to stand for good conservative Christian values down at the state capitol, and for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill show this morning.
Thank you.
Oh, God bless you guys. I love being on. Thanks so much for having me.
That's Representative Brandy Bradley. You can follow her on X, and I had it up here just a second ago. Bradley for Colorado. Bradley for CO. BradleyForCO. Follow her on X there. Representative Brandy Bradley joining us to give us a legislative update. All right, let's talk Gyrie's. Folks, my wife and I have been talking about updating our home for a while, and we went to Gyrie's, and we're going back for a second time because we had such a great experience with them. We got to sit down with their professional designers who showed us an incredible selection of Hunter Douglas custom blinds, shades, and shutters. Here's what I mean by custom, okay? They come out to your home. They bring samples. They bring color samples. They bring lasers. They measure everything. They get it perfect. Because prior to that, we were just buying cheap blinds online. And then they'd break, and they were super heavy, and they weren't great. And in some of our rooms, we wanted dark out blinds. In other parts of our rooms, we wanted just ones that made the light not so bright. And we got everything custom. It was amazing. It was not crazy expensive, very affordable. Their designers are the experts, and they walk you through everything and help find the perfect options to enhance the look and functionality of your home. So whether your curtains are clashing or you just want a fresh look, Gyrie's has the solutions for you. Their designers are experts, can help you with everything from window treatments to full room decor, and they come directly to you. So get the same expert advice in your home that we got in ours Do yourself a favor. Get started today. Visit GuyRees.com to schedule your in-home consultation. That's GUIRYS.com. GUIRYS.com. Go see the great people at Guyries. You'll be sure to thank me. And we'll continue with your phone calls and texts. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Great conversation with Brandy Bradley, although she's drawn a primary challenge, and not from, kind of wing nut that pops up sometimes in these challenges. Yeah. These primary challenges are like, all right, well, I guess I got to deal with this. But somebody who sits on the Castle Pine City Council.
Yeah, this is interesting.
And Brandy won her last race by 18 points.
Yeah.
Big. So very conservative district, and she's outspoken conservative. She's very happy to be outspoken. She'd take on all the fights. So a more moderate, maybe not quite firebrand as Brandy Bradley challenging her. What do you think of this?
I don't know. I'm super curious about what the opening or the avenue their opponent saw. I don't know if it's just wow, this is a potentially very safe seat. I would like to be able to do that type of a thing, and I just want to replace you. Or is there something tactically or something to do with a position that Brandy has taken that the person running against her sees as an opportunity? The only thing, and again, it is such a solid conservative district, but you also have to ask the question that if the primary gets to a point where the two of you bloody each other up enough, does it offer a potential opportunity for a Democrat in the race? And, again, I can't see it swinging 18 points, but let's just play worst case scenario and say that it gets really nasty and personal between the two of them, and there are just enough people in that district that don't necessarily say, I'm tired of being a Republican or a conservative, but I can't stand the personal behavior of the two of you and how you did this, and it's an embarrassment, and so for this, I will hold my nose and elect. Now, I'm assuming that the Democrats would be strategic enough to run someone that would be a very, very, very moderate. I mean, just barely on the side of a Democrat if you're going to run someone in that kind of a district. Otherwise, you got no choice. So I'm kind of assuming a lot of things. But that's what I'm curious about is what is the reasoning behind getting someone in there to challenge Brandy? And what are the potential pitfalls? Do we think that it is just such a secure seat that it doesn't matter what happens, that whoever comes out of the primary is eventually going to be the winner? We've got districts like that, and that could be it. But I don't know. I mean, what do you think? You've got this.
So the district is Lone Tree, Castle Pine, Sterling Ranch, Roxborough, and then it goes around. So one of those gerrymandered. It goes anything but Castle Rock. It goes all the way around Castle Rock, down to Larkspur, Perry Park, and then some parts of east of I-25 down there. So very conservative district. I think the tactic that I see coming from Deborah Mulvaney, who sits on the city council, is we're going to kind of go back to not quite the firebrand conservative fighting, every floor speech. Brandy's a fighter. She's a fighter, right? She's going to go down and get gavelled down.
Yeah.
You're being inappropriate.
Yeah, you're doing this and you're not. Now, okay, you've spent a lot more time. You've got much more knowledge about this than I do based on strategy and putting campaigns together, etc. Just sitting there on the armchair quarterback, what are the positives and negatives of trying to run someone against Brandy that you would assume is less of a firebrand? And the reason I want to know that is because I'm of the opinion that the GOP is looking for more firebrands.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's looking for louder people to push back stronger. So what's the strategy that you see in an armchair quarterback on that side?
Well, I don't know. I mean, so the Republican Party's made up of people that are not necessarily firebrands.
Oh, yeah,
right?
absolutely.
They just go to work.
Yeah.
And they vote the right way most of the time, but they're not necessarily going to be using every opportunity to drive that message. And some people want that. And state representative, and a congressional representative. Think the difference between Lauren Boebert and Jeff Hurd.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah, absolutely.
And so you have that coalition there. Now, in Brandy Bradley's district, I don't know. I'm not sure that voters are going, who we need? Somebody that's less of a fighter.
Yeah, someone that...
More of a just kind of show up and go to work and vote the right way.
And the idea is, does that get the question I would have? And again, if I was advising Brandy on strategy and messaging, is if this person is less of a firebrand, the question would be, do you think that is going to change things? Because I'm assuming that the people voting for Brandy would be under the umbrella of Colorado headed in the wrong direction. I'm just going to assume that based on polling. I'm just going to say that's an assumption I'm making on this conversation. I'm assuming they're going to say that Colorado's not headed in the right direction. And then my follow-up question would be, do you think we're going to get there more by fighting and pushing back on the crazy things, or being quiet about it and finding those places to vote where we can to do what we need? What is going to get you to your goal sooner and more efficiently? That would be my question.
Great question. Great question. Well, join the conversation. Would love to hear from you. Do you support Brandy Bradley? Do you think she's the fighter we need down at the Colorado State Capitol and she deserves to retain her position, or would you like to see a change there? And Deborah Mulvaney sits on the City of Castle Pines City Council. Is a good professional Republican conservative that we should swap Brandy Bradley out with. Join the conversation, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law Text line at 720-819-5115. Guys, I got to show you this. Oh, hold on.
Oh, yeah, I got this. Yeah, okay.
Stay there.
Okay, yes. Talk amongst yourselves for a second. Yeah, we're going to talk about this. There's a visual aid, so if you can join us in the YouTubes and stuff like that.
See this beautiful leather bag? Right
Yes, look at that thing.
Isn't that amazing? Okay.
It's gorgeous.
This is Modern Rugged Leather. It's my new bag, and they're sponsors of the show. This is the best leather. It smells like leather, right? You just love that smell. It smells great. But then it looks sharp. It lasts long. The stitching, the buckles, everything here from Modern Rugged Leather is amazing. I love this bag. I used to have one of those cheap bags I bought off of Amazon that I would just kind of take around everywhere with me and whatever. It was off of Amazon. This is the best bag I've ever had in my life. I absolutely love Modern Rugged Leather. So whether it's the boardroom or the back roads, Modern Rugged Leather helps you carry confidence every step of the way. Modern style, timeless durability, backed for life. Look, life's going to take you places. Make sure your gear keeps up. Shop the full collection and find yours today at modernrugged.com. Again, that's modernrugged.com. We'll continue with your phone calls and texts. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710 KNUS.
President Trump out there at the World Economic Forum, Bill. Here's his take on windmills. You ready?
Oh, goody.
There are windmills all over the place, and they are losers. China is very smart. They make them. They sell them for a fortune. They sell them to the stupid people that buy them, but they don't use them themselves. They're shocked that people continue to buy those darn things. They killed the birds. They ruined our landscapes. Other than that, I think they're fabulous, by the way. Stupid people buy them. Wow. I agree entirely with Donald Trump. I hate those windmills. I was driving by them in rural Colorado yesterday, and they're ugly. They totally mess up the landscape. They're generally pretty useless when it comes to actually generating power. And if it gets too windy, you got to turn them off. If it gets too cold, you got to turn them off. If it gets too hot, you got to turn them off. We have the ability to stick a straw in the ground and pull up endless amounts of beautiful, clean, cheap energy, and yet we build these monstrosities that kill the birds and ruin our landscapes. He's absolutely right. Stupid people buy them.
Yeah, but wind's free. And that entire statement from him, for me...
Wind's free?
Yeah, wind is free.
These things are not free?
No, wind. The idea of... I mean, we've got to pay for mineral rights and other things, that, as far as dragging that stuff out of the ground. And then there's processing and other things, involved in it. So, there are advantages and disadvantages for both sources. In my mind, they should be supplemental. But Donald Trump's statements... again, remind me of the third grader that has to stand up there and give a book report to a book they never read. And you know why? We know that he is just talking out of the orifice in which the words are not coming out of. He's talking out of the one that is below the equator, because China is the number one global user of wind power energy. They have more windmills and wind power than anyone else on the planet. And Donald Trump's premise is China's smart. China sell this. China no use. Stupid people use a windmill. China so smart. China smart people. China no use wind power. Yeah, you're completely wrong about that. They are the leader.
You think these things are good?
No.
You think these windmills are good?
Here's the thing. I'm not arguing with him necessarily. I'm arguing with him about the premise of his entire statement. He starts with something that is wrong. China builds them, but they are the number one global utilizer of wind power energy. That is extant. That is a fact. And yet he represents it as if it is not. That's the fallacy that we have inside of him. So everything else that comes after that, I don't need to nor should listen to, because he's operating off of a premise of idiocy and ignorance. When we start with a statement of ignorance, I'm not going to have to pay attention to or take seriously anything else that follows.
Bill, why not answer the question? Do you like the windmills or not?
Yes, I said yes, because they are supplemental. Yes, they are a supplemental energy source, and they should be used as such. They're not a primary generator, but they should be used as a supplement. Absolutely, they should be. Sure.
I think they're ugly. I think they're terrible. They've ruined eastern Colorado.
I
was out there
that.
driving. They're everywhere. These stupid red blinking lights, and then I don't get how environmentalists thought this was a good idea. And then I was also out in eastern Colorado, saw miles of solar panels.
Well, we talked about the solar panels as well.
How as somebody who's loves to preserve the environment, how did you find yourself in this cul-de-sac of thought that this is somehow good for the environment? This is ugly. It ruins the entire landscape.
Yeah, the thing is that I agree on the placement and how we're utilizing solar panels, but solar should be used. And wind power has been used for years. I mean, there's the Dutch and the windmills and things. I mean, Don Quixote was out there charging after windmills in Spain. So we've used wind power as something that is a efficient generator of power and get things done for hundreds and hundreds of years. We can argue or disagree about how we are using the wind turbines and whether or not they're ugly. I mean, if we allowed people to go out there and paint them so they look like pretty flowers, would that be better? Again, that's fine. And I don't care if the critique is they're ugly, but there are some critiques on some dangers and things that happen when we're pulling the oil out of the ground. Most of the thing is, just talk about the Exxon Valdez. and dumping oil into the ocean. That's a huge negative, not usual and regular, but that is a negative. So all of the sources of energy do have their negatives, but wind power should be a supplement and needs to be a supplement. But I'm not going to listen to cranky Miss Davos face. They're talking about the power of wind power and how only stupid people use wind power and how China's so smart because they only sell it, when he starts from a premise of being 110% wrong. I don't have to listen to anything else that comes after that statement because he starts with being incorrect and then just continues. But this is fine.
Isn't that just poisoning the well? Aren't you just like, he's wrong on this, everything else he says is wrong?
No, because if he starts with an incorrect premise, why are we going to assume that anything drawn from that incorrect premise is going to be correct?
Yeah, that's literally the definition of poisoning.
No, not at all, because the idea, no, it isn't. No, the idea is that when the base assumption is incorrect, it's not poisoning the well. The idea is the base assumption is incorrect. If we talk about the idea that the base assumption is 2 + 3 = 17, we don't get to discuss anything more about the mathematical formula when the base premise of the mathematical formula is incorrect.
8714 saying, Billy, China's the largest consumer of dirty coal energy, too.
Yeah.
Because wind sucks.
No, but they are the largest global producer of wind energy, and they are also the largest consumer of coal energy. And that would be, that would make them, if they're using both, that would be, supplemental and complementary. Just like, someone on the show said not more than 120 seconds ago. That's weird. That's weird. How did that happen?
Suzanne wondering when we're going to have our own Salem cruise. Do you want to work on a cruise?
If I was,
and which one of us would throw the other off?
Well, see, the thing is, if I was younger, and I'm talking about going to work as in being one of the cruise people working on the ship. If I was younger, that'd be fun because there's a lot of free money and there's a lot of travel, but it is difficult based on what you're doing. But I worked in food service and catering for a lot of years, so that would just be you're just surrounded by water. That'd be okay. If we did go on a cruise, we would have to. The thing is, I'm not doing any. There's no lectures. We're not doing any symposiums. We're having fun. We are being crazy, and we are doing stuff that is questionable and sometimes considered stupid. And just because that's what I would do if we were going to go on one. That's what it would be. There would be challenges like when we have a shore day. The person would get an award for coming back with the dumbest or ugliest souvenir. That's what I'm doing. I'm having fun. This is going to be about a group adventure in which we're going to have stories to tell about. Not, I sat in a lecture hall and had them talk to me about economics for 35 minutes.
8714 going, Billy, the largest consumer of solar, China, because wind sucks.
Again, that would be complimentary.
Marvin, the meat handler, going.
I love how they keep proving my point there. That's great.
Or I think they're just pointing out China's just huge, so they happen to be the largest consumer of everything.
But again, complementary. That's weird. How they're producing it with all of the things, which has been my argument.
But
we should be using all of the things.
To Trump's point, though, they're number one seller of windmills, too.
Yeah, you'd think that if you wanted to, we should get in on that. We should get in on that. He's just mad because they put up windmills outside of Turnberry. That's what he's mad about. That's why he hates it. I'm convinced that because they put windmills up outside of his golf course, he doesn't like it. That's when he decided he hates them. It has nothing to do with any other rational thought. This is just an emotive response that he didn't like them putting up stuff off the course of his golf course.
Hot air from Trump's mouth could power the world, says Marvin the meat handler.
Possibly.
All right. Join the conversation. We'd love to talk with you. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line, 720-819-5115. Billy, as I was driving through Southwest Colorado the last few days, lots of boarded up businesses.
Ooh.
So what does the filing report from the Secretary of State say with regards to the future Colorado businesses? We'll give that to you next. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader. We're News Talk 710 KNUS. We'll be right back.